Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Leanne Reagan, and you are here for the February 2025 Learning and Development Roundtable called How to Hold Those Difficult Conversations You're Dreading. So we've got Claudia's coming in, Alice, Claudia, Dorcas, Elizabeth, Rico, Stephen and Sophia coming in as okay. These are the things that we're going to focus on today. So we'll talk about what makes a conversation difficult. What are your most common difficult conversation types? Because there's a bunch of different types of difficult conversations. Uh, so identifying and avoiding difficult conversation traps. And then we'll do some, talk about some key self-awareness skills. So we'll look at some skills for you to look inward and then some skills for you to look outward. If you are a UN staff person, this counts towards your annual professional development. And also know as a learning and development roundtable member, because if you weren't already, you became a member automatically when you joined this roundtable. You'll get access to, I think we're at 13, no, 12 plus years of roundtable resources. Also, let me just go back here for a second. If you are hoping to get credit or not credit, if you're hoping to get for this to count towards your UN professional development, know that your screen name needs to match your actual name. So I know sometimes folks come in with a different, so there's some information in the chat there about how to change your screen name. And also, you may be operating in a different language than you're most comfortable with. So I put in the chat there how to change the closed captioning. So there are some, I think it's 37 languages you can choose between. So if you want to turn on closed captioning and turn it to a different language, go ahead. So, also, I know, I don't know, I say that it feels like gravity's going to stop working one of these days. There's so much going on right now in the world. So I just invite you to take a couple of deep breaths in and a couple of deep breaths out. You chose to be with us here today. Of all the things that you could have been doing, you chose to be with us today, which I'm grateful for. So just bring yourself to the present moment and give yourself the gift of presence. And find yourself if your attention is getting drawn away by a rather large to-do list or a notification on your phone or your laptop, just bring your attention back to your breath so you can stay focused and present with us here today. So again, just a couple of deep breaths in and out. And as you bring your attention to the here and now, again, that my name is Leanne Reagan. I am the founder of the Learning and Development Roundtable, and I am a learning and development expert. I design and deliver engaging learning programs for clients, mostly UN. And they tend to fall in three different areas. So one is working better together. So all of those things, like having difficult conversations, can make being part of a team really lovely and interesting and beneficial or very. So communication skills, conflict resolution, change management, creativity, all of those kinds of things. Then I'm also work with teams around tech tools. So I'll talk about it more in a minute, but I'll be doing some training for actually on artificial intelligence, for example. And then I also do lots of training of trainers. So working with subject matter experts and teaching them how to design and deliver really great learning. Given that you chose to spend your time with us here today, just a couple of suggestions at our time together. I'm really hoping that you come away thinking that was a really great use of my time. Please feel free to participate, offer suggestions, resources, ask questions, whatever you like in the chat. Also know there is a LinkedIn Learning and Development Roundtable group. So if you haven't already, you can join that. I'm putting the links for these in the chat. And by the way, if future you is watching this, all of the links will be down below in the video. So feel free to join the LinkedIn and or the Facebook group. Like I mentioned, you automatically became a member. And please, if you're finding value in our time together, please share that membership link. I just put that again in the chat. Also, I'm so grateful for your feedback. And every roundtable, I draw a winner from the group of people that gave feedback last month. So at the end of today, our time together, I'll let you know who that winner is. And based on members' requests, I send out everything the recordings and a workbook, et cetera, go out early next week. But members were saying, oh, Leanne, we want to get information earlier. So at the end of our time together today for the roundtable, the PowerPoint will land in your inbox. So you'll get that, and then you'll get the rest of the resources early next week. Also, a special announcement for UN staff. I'll be giving an effective public speaking workshop on March the 19th and 20th from 2 to 5 p.m. East Africa time, and then again June 18th and June 19th from 2 to 5 p.m. Oh, sorry, actually, that's not true. One of those is 9 to 11. So if you're interested, you can contact Yunnan HR for more information, and I'll put that in the chat there. So if you want to brush up on your public speaking skills, feel free, and your UN staff, feel free to register for that. And if you're interested in the course, but you're not a UN staff, just let me know. Let's talk. Okay, also, I really invite you to be kind to your future self and really curate your learning. Now, you probably have lots of different ways to uh, remember what you're learning, and you're welcome to use this tool if you wish. It's called the Quite worksheet. It just helps you be proactive with your learning. I've put the link in the chat, and should you wish, once you download that, it becomes editable. So that's there for you. Okay, it's your turn. I want to hear a little bit from you folks. So, oh, Shirley, you're already you have your mind. So I'd love to know where in the world does this find you? So where in are you? Oops, I'm just putting this in the chat here. Okay, so hi, Shirley. It's so nice to see you here. So Shirley's in Langley, that's on the west coast of Canada. Sarah's in London. Hi, Sarah. Federico, Geneva. Alessandro is in Rome. Elizabeth is in Amman. I've never been there. I'd love to go one day. And Katya is in the headquarters, UNIDO headquarters in Vienna. Rosangela is coming in from Denmark. Chawangwa is in Nairobi. That's my home. I'm usually based in Nairobi, but right now I'm in Kigali, Rwanda. Angel's in Valencia. Giorgio is in Sarasota, Florida. Stanley is Istanbul. What a fabulous place. And we've got Vienna and Nairobi, New York, Austria, another Nairobi, Lima, Paraguay, and Nairobi. Oh, lovely. Okay, and we've got 4 more folks coming in. So, what happened here? So you decided to sign up for this, sometimes kind of, having difficult conversations, your stomach might be clenching, your shoulders might be up around your ears, right? We all have different topics where it can be challenging to have those conversations. So I'd love to know if a difficult conversation was a sport, so if a difficult conversation was a sport, sorry, I'll just put this in the chat. Which sport would it be? So if having difficult conversations was a sport, what sport would it be? Oh, hi, Yulia. Yulia's interested in participating in the public speaking. Oh, so actually, Yulia, I don't have the register. I'm not the person doing the registration, but you'll see there's an email there. So just email Yunnan HR and they can help you. And hello to Lucy, who's coming from Entebbe. Okay, so this is great. Okay, so we've got heavy lifting. So maybe that like powerlifting, yeah. Ice skating, like kind of like a dance. Fencing, says Frederica. Triathlon, says Claudia. Rugby, says Samuel. Boxing, ski jumping, wrestling, tug of war, ice hockey. Oh, and horse riding. Okay, these are great. Oh, and wrestling again. Okay. So I'm hoping that you'll get a workout during our time together here today, but more of a workout for your brain. So I've got lots of research to share with you and lots of skills to share with you. Oh, and Shimangwa says judo. And by the way, if I happen to pronounce your name wrong, please just send me a DM with the proper phonetic pronunciation of your name. Oh, and Shirley dancing. Oh, I like that. What kind of dancing, Shirley? Does any particular kind come to mind? Let me know in the chat. Okay, so we've got folks coming in from all over the world. Oh, salsa, Martha says. Nice. Okay, so just give me a thumbs up. Are you ready to dive into the introduction to having how to hold those difficult conversations you're dreading? Just give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Oh, Raymond says Kazomba. Oh, I went to a Kazomba dance lesson a while ago. Okay, great. Okay, so here's a little video and as an introduction to how to hold those difficult conversations you're dreading. So here we go.
Lily, I just watched you touch Jude's food. Yes, you did. You touched Jude's food.
No, I'm not to the food.
Yes, you did touch the food.
No, I'm not to the food.
Did you touch Jude's food?
No,
Yes.
I'm not the food.
You touched Jude's food. I just watched you do it.
No, I'm not to the.
Yes, you did touch his food.
No, I'm not to the food.
You touched his food.
No, I'm not to the food.
Were you playing in Jude's food?
Okay, I'm going to stop it there. For anyone who has or currently has or has had toddlers in their this may be a familiar thing to look at. Shirley's saying doesn't matter what kind of what kind of dancing, just using energy that is pent up. Oh, I like that. Great. Okay. So I use this video because this is, a light-hearted way to introduce the topic. And notice how it's very positional, right? Neither of them are getting anywhere. The mom or the caregiver or the friend, whoever the adult is who's doing the conversation, is not moving the conversation forward, right? It's just basically asking the same question over and over, which is being met by vehement denial. So we can do better than that. We can do better. So I'd love to know what makes a conversation difficult? So as we start to sink in, like, what do you think? What makes a conversation difficult? So when you think it from in your world, what makes it difficult? Okay, Ranjita says, unwilling to listen to the other person. Like really, really listen. Great. Yulia says, emotions, polarized points of view. Absolutely. There's so much of that happening right now in the world. Angel says, when someone attacks the other person. Absolutely. And that can be an emotional attack, sometimes a physical attack. High emotions, says Sylvia. Anne says emotions causing, what's CO5, Anne? Let me know. I'm not sure what that means. Alessandro, lack of understanding. Sarah, the topic, right? So sometimes the actual topic of the conversation. So if you're trying to give negative feedback, Georgia says confronting someone with a difficult issue, for example, feedback. Oh, Anne says conflict, yeah. Alba, resistance to change, lack of transparency, not enough knowledge of each other's context. Oh, I love that. So the topic can be irrelevant. It's the context that can make it very challenging, says Ivan. Stanley, not knowing what the issue is about. Right. So I think we're talking about one issue, but the person I'm trying to have the conversation with can think it's about something entirely different. Alba, strong emotions, afraid of the other person's reactions. Right, so based on our history with conflict, we can be fearful. Raymond says, oh, hi, Raymond, nice to have you here. Delivering a bad message to the recipient. Greed, says Georgia. Samuel, language and cultural barriers, hindering understanding. Words lost in translation. Yes. Uh, Carmela says closeness of the relationship. Oh, so good. Katja, so lost it there. How to formulate criticism diplomatically and constructively. So it can be difficult if you're not doing that diplomatically and constructively. Misunderstanding, stuck in their views. If something's escalating, difficulty arises with self-doubt, judgment, or the other person's trauma or sensitive points, which you may know or you may have no clue what those sensitive points are. Katja, different communication styles. And Camilla, parallel perspectives. Right.
Sí,
Oh,
cualquiera.
Claudia, I'm just going to mute you there unless you have a question or a comment. I'm just going to keep you just for noise sake. Okay. And unequal power dynamics. Right. Yes. Okay. So the research, when I focused on the research here, there's a couple of key themes. They're very, very common that come out. One of them is feelings, right? So if we're feeling fearful, if we're feeling paralyzed, wronged, blocked, misunderstood, we're unsettled, we're wanting to avoid, like, I don't want to go there. No, 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 no. I don't want to talk about that. So that is one key thing that can make a conversation very difficult. Also, if there is confused thinking, so we're not thinking at our best, we're not having clear executive functioning, executive thinking, and we're just not sure how to move forward. We feel stuck, we feel overwhelmed, etc. Also, I thought this one was really interesting. Let me know in the chat if you've been in this situation. When there's confusion between the functional agenda, so kind of the objective, these are the things that we need to talk about in our conversation, kind of the objective things, and the emotional agenda. So how are we feeling? How engaged are we? Do we feel safe? Do we have a sense of belonging? Have you experienced that confusion between the functional and the emotional agenda? Let me know in the chat there. And by the way, all the roundtables, I'll share with you at the end of our time together today a link that gives you access to all of the research, all of the resources that I used in designing this workshop. So yeah, so let me know if you've ever had that confusion, or maybe one of you is focused on the functional agenda and the other person's focused on the emotional agenda. So your priorities are different there. Okay, so we've talked about some signs of a difficult conversation, but what's actually the definition of a difficult conversation? So the research here says a difficult conversation is when the other person, it's pretty clear, the other person has a viewpoint that is different from yours, and or one or both of you feel insecure in some way, and the stakes are high. So you're not having a conversation about what you want to have for dinner or, some rather simple topic, but the stakes are high. And by the way, this research comes from the Harvard Business Review 20-Minute Manager Difficult Conversation book. It's so good. Alba's saying many times it happens, but for work's sake, all is discussed and solved. But at the beginning, there are emotions involved, as you have to find a way to communicate clearly what the issue is in order for others to find a solution and decide. Yeah, that's the goal, right? That's the goal. And I love, if you've heard of Brene Brown, the researcher Brene Brown, Dr. Brene Brown, she says, you know, we like to think that we are logical beings who are sometimes emotional, but the research is very clear that we're actually emotional beings who are sometimes logical. So yeah, emotions play a huge role in difficult conversations. Okay, and then there's different kinds of difficult conversations. I don't know how many of you had a chance to take the survey, but I actually polled you to see what kinds of difficult conversations were most common for you. And again, this comes from the same Harvard Business Review piece of research. There tend to be 5 different kinds of difficult conversations. So one, and this is in no particular order, but one is when your interests are conflicting, right? So different interests. So there might be like a supervisor and an employee who have different interests. 2 different personal styles. So maybe one person is very outgoing, very focused on their emotions, and one person is more introverted and focused on the functional agenda. A lack of trust, right? Number 3, lack of trust, that one or more people in the conversation do not trust each other. Number 4, different views of the facts, right? They have a very different take on what is true. And then 5, strong emotions. So let me know in the chat which of these are common for you. I'll show you the results of the survey in the next slide, but put the numbers of the types of difficult conversations that you tend to face. So is it 2 and 4 or 1, 3 and 5? Let me know in the chat. Okay, so 1, 2, and 4, so conflicting interests, different styles and facts. Oh, lots of 2s. Almost everyone's saying 2. Okay. And 4 and 5, 3 and 5, 2, 3, 4. Okay, not very many 1s. So just a couple of 1s there. Okay. Okay, so I will show you. So this, I updated the slide. It's slightly different from the PowerPoint that you'll get because I updated this right before our call. But here is what you said in the survey. And the survey was sent to you in the link, so you can always go back. It'll also be in the workbook that I'll send you. So the most common, so 80%, so people could pick as many as they wanted. So the most common one was strong emotions. 80% of people said that. And almost 75% of people said when we have different views of the facts. So those were the top 2. Okay, so we've talked about different kinds of difficult conversations. We've talked about the definition of a difficult conversation. Let's talk about conversation traps. So the different kinds of difficult conversations are also the traps. So we know that we're falling into a trap, a conversation trap. So a trap meaning we're in deep waters. This is going to be a little bit difficult, might feel uncomfortable when one or more of these 5 things are happening. So the different kinds of difficult conversations are the conversation traps. So how do you know that you might be in a trap? Well, I'm just going to show you here. It's when sticky. Just a second here. Okay, it's when you feel like your claws are coming, right? So you feel like you're not thinking at your best. The claws are coming out. You're feeling fearful or paralyzed or wronged or blocked or misunderstood, unsettled. You want to run and hide. You want to avoid. You're confused. And again, there might be some contrast between that functional agenda and the emotional agenda. And it's when those claws come out that we're not at our best. So we really need to pay attention to those claws. And again, those traps are the different kinds of difficult conversations. So how do we avoid those claws? The best way, and it feels like the opposite when it's actually happening, but the best way is to pause. So we want to go from claws to pause, right? So let me know in the chat, what does pausing look like to you? So there's different ways we can pause, but what does that look like to you? Breathing, yes, Elena. And by the way, if we breathe through our nose, the oxygen gets to our skin, it gets dispersed better. So deep breaths through our nose. Also silence, right, right. We might be tempted to just have this verbal diarrhea, right? This vomiting of words. Just taking a moment to be quiet. Georgia, take a break. Absolutely. Ranjita is saying combine them. Stop and think and take a deep breath. Stepping back, silence, moving away from the computer. Yeah, if you're having the difficult conversation online, sure. Take a walk, yes, and really try to distract yourself. Don't think about the topic. Looking to postpone the conversation, take some time to think, changing the focus, using your senses. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you want to let the person know that you're having the conversation with. You don't want to just leave, like mentally check out or physically check out. But I get this question a lot. You can actually say, I'm not at my best. I know this is a really important conversation, and I really want to be here for you and be present and really put our heads together. And I'm just not, I'm just feeling a bit overwhelmed. Do you mind if we take a break? So you want to make sure that you're in dialogue with the person for that. So also, oh, Katya is saying, try to see it from the other person's point of view. Yes, we're going to talk about that. Yes. Looking to, oh, we talked about that one. Stop, breathe, think. Sometimes give yourself 24 hours to respond. Right. Exactly. Okay. So some skills that you can build on that really help avoid those claws coming out is some self-awareness skills. So this is a two-part piece. So the first set of skills, we're going to look inwards, and then the second set of skills is outwards. So it'll involve the person that you're having the conversation with. But before we dive into these self-awareness skills, let me know any questions so far, any resources that you want to add, or are you ready to dive into the self-awareness skills? You can give me a thumbs up if you're ready to proceed. So just taking a pause and just let me know any questions. Okay, I can see lots of thumbs up here. Okay, great. Okay, so I'll share some self-awareness skills with you. And one of them is to acknowledge that you're part of the problem. Now, when our emotions are high, we can, we can do the opposite, right? It's just, Andrea, I'm just using your name, just, clearly we don't have any conflict, but, oh, it's all Andrea's fault. I don't have anything to do with it. It's just, completely the other person's fault. So particularly when those emotions are running high, we can get very entrenched, very stuck in our thinking, and including not taking any responsibility. And we can do a lot of finger pointing, right? A lot of blame. I'm going to invite you right now to put 2 fingers under your nose. So put 2 fingers under your nose. And assuming that your camera is not on, so, for me, I can see myself because I have my camera on, but think of the problem as right here, right? So, it can be hard to see, but really it's right under your nose, right? We are definitely, each of us are definitely part of the problem. And admitting that is, can go a long way to building those self-awareness skills. Oh, I had a DM. Yes, you will get all the slides. You'll get the PowerPoint is going to land in your inbox as soon as we end. So it's automatically coming to you. And you'll get the video recording, the workbook, and the audio recording early next week. So yes, that will all come to you. All the research, everything will come to you. Every roundtable, I do that. Okay, number 2, refer back to the traps and know when you are being triggered, right? And those traps that we talked about right here, right? Some of them might be more of a trigger than others. So for some of you, a lack of trust might be, oof, that really, that's the one I really have to work on. That's a real, for example, trigger. So know those triggers. Number 3, I love this one. Decide whether to act. So you can make a very decisive choice about whether to take action around this difficult conversation. Also, as part of that internal dialogue, that self-awareness, think about what is the cost of ignoring. So what are some possible costs of ignoring a difficult conversation? So let me know in the chat. So we don't have to attend every argument we're invited to, and there can be some costs for not addressing the issue. So what do you think? What could be some of those costs? So we've acknowledged that we're part of the problem. We've thought about those traps and are we being triggered? And now we want to look at, is it worth it? Is it worth it for me to really take action and really engage with this person around this conversation? Uh, okay, so we've got Ranjita saying adversely affecting the relationship. Right, it could get worse. Things could get worse if you don't address it. Claudia's saying resentment growing inside slowly but surely. Right. And sometimes, that resentment then explodes, it comes out and it's a huge surprise to the other person, but it's been slowly building, building. Damaging the relationship, absolutely. Creating another conflict, could be re-inflamed. So it's just coming up all the time, bigger and more complex. The trust is lost and there's confusion as the issues remain unsolved, creating anxiety about the future. Absolutely. And avoiding confrontation will not solve the problem. Yeah, it can help in the meantime if you need to take a short break, but usually if it's a significant issue, avoiding it is generally not a good idea. You can protecting the fury to innocent people. Yeah, so it could affect other people. Could be seen as unprofessional if you're unwilling to engage. Andrew says feeling frustrated with yourself for not speaking up when the opportunity arose. So you can be hard on yourself. Yeah. Okay, and then also think outward. So all of these comments are great. It can also, in addition to affecting the two people involved, it can escalate the conflict to a point where the team is getting affected. The organization is being affected. Work is getting undone. The team is distracted and taking sides. Okay, I'm on, who's on Anne's side? Who's on Carla's side? Right? It can just really get very messy. Okay, and then the fourth one is, again, we're looking inward right now. We're focused on these self-awareness skills, is knowing your tendency for how you tend to react. This is going to depend based on who the person is that you're having this conversation with, what the topic is about, etc. But let me know in the chat, in general, when you have a conflict in front of you, what is your general tendency? Do you tend to fight? Now, I don't mean, physical fighting, but you want to debate and argue, you jump in there and do, right? You're verbally sparring. Do you tend to flee? So you check out emotionally or you physically leave? Do you tend to freeze? Like you just, perhaps you've had some trauma in your past. This is a big trigger and you just, you absolutely freeze. Or some folks, let me know, do you know what fawning means? Do you tend to fawn? So anybody know what fawning means? Okay, so Ranjit is saying I tend to withdraw and freeze. I'll show you the results of because this was also the second question in the survey, so I'll show you the results in a second. But of the four, so we've talked about fight, flee, and freeze, but what's fawning? Being subservient and deferential. Yes, people pleasing. So Sarah, it's okay. Sarah, whatever you want is totally, it's okay. Whatever you want is totally fine. Totally fine. Yeah, exactly, Katja. Your utmost reaction is wanting to please the other person. Okay, and Elena's saying withdraw and reflect, try to analyze my feelings. Nice. Okay. Do you want to see the survey results? Which one, by the way, which one do you think is the most um common? Oh, darn. Shoot. Freezing. Okay. I just realized, shoot, Leanne, I updated the slide right before we started because I wanted to have the most up-to-date results, but I just realized I didn't put the right information here. So just, oh no, sorry, I did. Okay, no, I did. Okay, so there's a lot of, so people are thinking freeze and fight. It seems to be the most common. Okay, so almost 50% of the respondents in that survey, again, if you didn't take the survey, you can find it. It'll be in the workbook. Almost 50% of people said their most common reaction is fighting. So verbal sparring, debating, and then freezing and fawning were tied. Freezing and fawning were tied. And the least common one was fleeing. Okay, so we've talked about some self-awareness skills, acknowledging you're part of the problem, referring back to those traps, decide, being very strategic and proactive. Do you want to address this? And also what the cost is, what your tendency to react is, and then managing your emotions. So we can get completely derailed by not managing our emotions. So would you like to learn 5.5 techniques for managing your emotions in 60 seconds? Give me a thumbs up. I'd like to learn 5.5 techniques that really help you calm down. It takes 60 seconds or less. Okay. Okay. So here they are. And I'll explain what these techniques are. And then we'll practice them for 1 minute. You can pick the one you want to practice. So we'll all practice them at the same time for 1 minute. And then I'll explain the neuroscience behind them. So they're kind of strange. It can feel a bit weird. I use these often if I'm really, really upset. It just really calms your system down and it takes less than 60 seconds. Okay, and as I go, pick the one that you want to practice and then put that number in the chat. So I just want to make sure that we have at least one person practicing each technique. And also you might be wondering, why is it 5.5 and not 6? I'll tell you in a minute. Okay, so let me explain them to you and then you can pick your type and then you'll practice for a minute and then I'll let you know why they work, what's going on in your brain. Okay, so number 1, starfish. So if you can stand when I say go, you stand with your arms in the air and basically you're making an X. So your arms are above your head and your legs are more than hip width apart, right? So you're forming kind of a starfish shape. Number 2 is breathing out longer than you breathe in. So number 2, breathing out longer than you breathe in. And the bigger the difference between your in breath and the out breath, the better. Okay. Number 3 is simply smiling. Now, don't smile so much for a minute that your cheeks are going to hurt, but just simply smile for 1 minute when I say go. Number 4 is thinking about something complicated but positive. So, what is my highest purpose? How can I be the best version of myself, be the best, serve the world, my community, my organization, my team, the best way positive, best way possible, rather. So something complicated and something positive. Then 5 is if you want to and then you're just going to sort of slightly push and pull. So I'll try to come closer to the camera a bit here. So you can just see it's a very subtle movement, right? Very, very subtle. And then the 5.5 is venting. So if you have a conflict and you are needing this difficult, you can type it out, handwrite, do not put it in the email. And you're just going to vent for 1 minute. So other than Leanne, what the heck are these weird techniques and why are they working? Because I'll explain that in the next. Do you have any questions? Oh, see the slides. Oh, can other people see the slides? I'm in a hotel in Kigali in Rwanda, and I'm getting a sign every once in a while that the bandwidth is low. Oh, the slides are not visible. Okay. They're blurry. Oh, sorry, folks. Okay. Hopefully okay, I apologize. I've talked to the front desk, get it as I could. It's breaking up. Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. I respect your time and I'm sorry that it's not here. Maybe let me just turn my video off and see if that helps. Okay. Is that better? Does that make a difference when my video's off? It's not. Okay. 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 Well, I'm gonna keep going and we'll just do the best that we can. Hopefully it's showing full bars. Okay, so Katya saying the video is bad quality, but you can hear me. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's go back and if you can pick the number that you want to practice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5.5. Oh, the slides are back on. Okay, great. I love how you're letting me know. Thank you. You're not just suffering in silence, letting me know. Okay, so pick a number. Just want to make sure. Okay, yeah. So right now I've turned my video off. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 4, 5, 4. Okay, so we need a 1 and a 3 and a 5.5. So, okay, we've got a 3. Great. I feel like I'm auctioning. Yeah, anyone want a 3? Yeah, anyone want a 3? Three's good. We've got the 3. So I think just, oh, we know 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 points to pick that. Okay, I'm just setting up a timer here, and you're going to practice that that technique for 1 minute. Okay. So here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, begin. God. So given that the audio is putting it in the chat as well. Okay, you've got 5 seconds left. Oh, sorry, Alba. Okay, I know it's hard if you can't see the slides. Okay, time's up. I'm gonna try to, oh, thank you, Alba. I appreciate your patience there. I'm gonna try to hotspot off my phone. I'm gonna switch, just turn this on here. Let's see if this will work. Okay, I'm gonna switch networks, so I lose you. I'm just switching networks. In the meantime, let me know if you were able to practice. How are you feeling? Oops. After practicing the technique. Okay. So I've just switched networks. Is that any better, folks? Okay, so we're much calmer. Great. I'm happy to hear that. The same, says Katya. Okay, great. Anyone else? If you were able to practice those techniques, what's the issue in? Nice, nice. Okay, anyone else? Okay, I'm gonna try to put like I said, I've switched networks. So let me know in the chat. Am I coming through? Is the audio any clearer? Is the video any clearer? Okay. Okay. Calm. Okay. Smiling gives you a better balance. Okay. Oh, sorry, Katya. I'm sorry to be confusing. I am asking 2 different questions. So one is how you're feeling. And then the second question, because I switched networks, I'm hoping I'm coming across the audio and the video is clearer, so you can let me know. Okay. Okay, let's go through the techniques, but I am curious to know, can you hear and see me okay? Is it any better now? Because I've switched networks. Hi, everyone. I apologize. As I'm sure you see, uh, uh, the next, hopefully. Okay. Just, okay. Check in. I love this duty so much. Where did I go? Okay, thank you. Can you now? A sec. Let me continue because I want to be respectful and mindful of your time. And I know how frustrating this can. So no, you'll get all the slides, you'll get the recording, you'll get the audio recording, the workbook, everything will come to you. So let's go through the techniques. So the starfish technique, this is an amazing technique in that if I was to test your saliva before and after you did the starfish, your testosterone would have gone up and your cortisol, one of the stress hormones, would have gone down. So 60 seconds, and it is a marvelous technique. Oh, by the way, thank you to those who are sharing information on what you're seeing. And by the way, these techniques, please don't think all I'm saying is all you have to do is smile. And these are meant smile, but these are meant to help you right in the moment. Oh, folks, I'm so sorry. Okay. So okay, I'm so sorry that it's not. I'll turn my video off again here. I'm just going to continue and do whatever you need to dance for yourself. Okay, so number 2, breathing out longer than you breathe. Again, it's resetting your system and really helping you to calm down very, very quickly. Number 3, smiling. This one is the one that feels maybe the weirdest, because if you're having a hard conversation or about to go into having a hard conversation, it can be the thing that you feel the least that you want to do. But when you smile, a weird thing happens, which is your brain says to itself, huh, Leanne is, she must be happy. I'm going to release hormones to help. Again, laughter yoga. It's like a yoga exercise, but I don't know that there's a specific name for it. Sorry, folks. Yes, I am sharing my screen. So I apologize. Clearly the sound and the video is bad. So I'm going to continue. I'll do my best. Hopefully the recording is working okay. But in the meantime, the complicated but positive thought, you're actually building resilience. You're building resilience simply by thinking about a complicated positive thing. Technique. And by the way, I'm trying to speak lower than I normally speak, in case that helps with the sound as well. So particularly if you are when difficult conversations come up, some of us can get triggered and literally feel like we're leaving our body. So the elbow technique helps to ground you in the present moment. So really brings you back to your body. And it's really a powerful technique that you can do. So the other ones, you don't want to necessarily do the starfish in front of someone else, but you can do those as right before you go into a difficult conversation. But the elbow one is one having difficult conversation. But the elbow technique was the one where you take each hand and put it on the opposite elbow, and then just slightly push and pull. Just slightly push and pull. Another version of this, you can put your hands on your thighs and just kind of tap your thighs, alternating your left and your right hand. So it just helps you bring you back to your body. And then the 5.5 one, the vent. Now the reason it's 5.5 and not 6 is venting has been shown to incredibly, if you do it too long, it makes things, so venting is really helpful, but you won't because then it makes things worse. Claudia's saying, I like learning about number 4, the complicated one. Yeah, so simple, puts things into context, makes you distracted from the trap. Exactly, Claudia. Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself. Yeah, the thing is to remember to do these when your emotions are getting away from you. And also, I just really, really, really want to underline that this is not meant to take the place of anxiety or depression or long term stress. These techniques are meant to help you in the moment. They don't take the place of longer term support. Okay. Oh, I'm seeing that you can see my screen. So hopefully, yay. Okay, great. Okay. Okay. And I was saying, what was number 4? Oh, the number 4 was thinking about something complicated but positive, and that's been shown to build your resilience. And number 3, smiling. Smiling is the strange one. And by the way, you can combine these. So smiling plus breathing. If I'm really upset at something, I'll combine those two things. So the smiling is where your brain thinks to itself, oh, Leanne's smiling. She must be happy. I'm going to release some hormones to make her feel happy. Okay. Alba, you're saying, can you please put for a minute the techniques, the slides? Okay, so hopefully you can, yeah, you can see those slides there. Okay. Okay, so we are chugging along here. We have talked about what, I don't know, maybe I'm tempting fate here, but I always feel a bit strange where you can't see me. So I'm turning my video on. We've talked about what makes a conversation difficult, what the most common difficult conversation types are, how to identify and avoid those conversation traps. And we've started to talk about some key self-awareness skills. Yay! Oh, thanks, Stanley, for letting me know. So far, we've focused inward on the self-awareness. Now we're going to focus on the outward, right? So we've just focused on ourselves, getting ready ourselves. But of course, when you're in conversation, you're in conversation with someone else. So let's talk a little bit about that in a minute. But first off, I just wanted to let you know that if you weren't already, you automatically became a member of the Learning and Development Roundtable, which means you'll receive all the invitations, you'll get access to all 12 years of resources. And please, I love growing our community. So please share the membership link with a couple of friends or colleagues. That would really mean a lot. And also, here are all of the upcoming dates, so you can mark your calendars. I'm putting those in the chat there. And our next one is March 20th. And we're going to do a roundtable called Personalities and Teamwork. So how you can communicate better, resolve conflict, and lessen misunderstanding with the life lenses. And so that, make sure you mark your calendar for that. And also, I am so excited. This has been a not necessarily a lifelong dream, but it's been a dream for a very long time. I am launching a online membership program. So as I get more information, I'll be sure to share that with you. But if you are interested in learning how to teach, how to design and deliver really interesting online learning, online or in person, then please send me an email. Let me know. I'll put my my email in the chat here. So that'll be a monthly paid online program. Okay, any questions before we continue with these self-awareness skills focusing outwards now? And if you're ready to move ahead, then just give me a thumbs up. Great. Okay. Okay, so we've looked inward, we've gotten ourselves ready, we've done that work. Let's look outward now. So this is based on that Harvard Business Review booklet, the 20-Minute Manager. And I adapted this to call it the FACE technique. So when you're thinking about a very particular conversation that you need to have with someone, oh, thanks, Angel. I'm sorry that you've got the urgent call. The recording, the workbook, all of that will come to you. You'll get the PowerPoint in your inbox in half an hour, and everything else will come early next week. Okay, so faces. What you want to do is gather the facts. So the F stands for facts. And make sure that they're facts. Like, are these things really, really true? Do you know for sure that these are true? Then think about the A, which stands for assumptions. Are you making any assumptions? And this is 99.9% of the time is the case. Something you initially think is a fact is like, oh, actually, I don't know that for sure. I think I'm making an assumption. It could be true, but I don't know. And then C stands for coloring. So what is coloring or influencing or affecting your interpretation of the events? And again, this is almost always the case. Are you working with someone? Are you needing to have a conversation with someone who you don't have a good relationship with? And maybe you're liable to see all the negative things about that person. Are you getting triggered into your fight, freeze, flee, fawn? What is coloring your interpretation of the events? Are there cultural issues? Right? Are you working with someone who's a different age, a different gender, has a different passport country? Right? And then the E is empathy. Look for reasons to have empathy. Someone earlier talked about putting yourself in someone else's shoes, right? Okay, so we've got the face tool, then we've got a mapping tool. So you've spent some time prepping, now you're looking outwards, you're using that face tool. Now you can think about mapping the different perspectives. Again, this is from the Harvard Business Review Difficult Conversations book. So you want to map the problem and the feelings. So for example, if let's just say you're Liam. So the problem, for example, Liam's view of the problem, Shireen isn't a team player. She's making me look bad, right? And his view of the feelings, he says to himself, underneath my anger, I feel jealous of her success and threatened by it, right? So there's some really nice self-analysis going on here. And then his perception of her view, Shireen's view, so we're making some educated guesses here. His perception of the problem, of her view of the problem, is she's thinking to herself, I need to make a strong impression to establish myself. I'm new to this team, I'm nervous, and I have to make some good impressions. And his perception of her view of the feelings, I feel isolated and insecure because my coworkers are not being very welcoming, right? So look at all this really great information that's coming up, right? When you take a moment to map those different perspectives. Okay, and then thirdly, speaking of mapping, you can map your goals and outcomes. So here's another example. Mapping both the best outcome and some possible alternate outcomes, both from your perspective. So in this case, we're pretending to be Liam, and then also from the other person's perspective, which in this case is Shireen. So Liam is saying to himself, what would the best outcome be? Well, Shireen acknowledges that she isn't sharing the spotlight. She agrees to work to share more credit with me and the team. And the best outcome, Liam's thinking for Shireen, is Liam acknowledges that my work is valuable and that I have a contribution to make. He agrees to support my success. Right. So comments, questions on that as we continue? There's a couple more steps to this outward facing piece. I just want to pause there. Any comments, questions, concerns? You're getting ready, you've done the inward, now you're looking outwards, you're getting ready to have this tough conversation. And if you're ready to continue, just give me a thumbs up if you want to continue with these skills. We've got a couple more of them. including a worksheet I can share with you. Okay, great. Okay, so the worksheet, think of some questions. You know, one of the ways that our stress goes way up is we tend to think, especially when we're under pressure, is I have to have all the answers. I have to know everything. And because our brains don't like ambiguity, we tend to rush to certainty. So we rush to get those answers. And that can miss valuable opportunities to seek other perspectives. So you can use this document here. So I'll share this link with you in the chat. So there are a ton of sample questions on that document. Not all of them are going to work for every situation, but there are a whole bunch there. And if you come with some questions in your back pocket, you've prepared some questions, that feels really great for the other person because you're not assuming. So if Carla and I are having a difficult conversation and I'm asking Carla questions, it shows that I'm interested. It shows that I'm open. It shows that I don't know and that I want to know. I'm interested in how she's feeling, what her perspective is, etc. So here are some example questions. These questions are, you can actually ask the other person. So what are some underlying interests for me that are at stake in this situation? What do I want to achieve from this conversation? How can we break this impasse? Right? What assumptions are we making about the situation, the content, and are we making any assumptions about each other? Okay, so feel free to click on that worksheet. You can keep that link. It's going to be in the workbook, so it'll also be there, but you can take a look at that, and it's also editable, so you can add questions yourself. Okay, so far we haven't had any conversations, right? You've been really busy getting ready, looking at the traps, the definition, doing that self-awareness, looking inwards, looking outwards. Before you actually start to have the conversation, because we're just about ready for that, a couple of tips. So really trying to think about how can you come to this conversation in the most collaborative mindset possible. So you may wish to think about what is the setting that you can have this conversation, and make sure that you talk to the other person about that. Maybe it's best to go for a walk, right? Maybe it's best to go for a coffee. You can diffuse a lot of tension by saying, you know, for example, uh, Federico, I know we've been having issues. I know that we're having some conflict. I really want to have a conversation and get to the bottom of this. I'd love to know what would be the most comfortable place for you to have this conversation. Would you like to go for a walk, to meet in a coffee shop? You know, what would be best for you? So already that's really helping the other person to know that you're interested, that you care. It goes a long way. Also the time to meet, right? You can have a conversation about that. And then also having some notes to yourself and about resistance, right? If resistance comes up. Okay, so it's time to have the conversation. So I'm going to divide you into small groups. And there is no, like, if your blood pressure has just gone up, there is no pressure to go through all of these things, right? So these 7 things are, or these 6 things rather, are what we've talked about. So you want to pick an example. And then you can talk about the traps. So how could you avoid falling into the traps? How can you practice those self-awareness skills? How can you prepare your face, the facts, the assumptions, the coloring, the empathy, mapping your perspectives, mapping those goals? And then can you brainstorm some questions? But let me actually just offer to the large group, because I know different people have different feelings about small group and large group. So let me know, do you want to stay in the large group or break up into small groups? So we can do some Q&A in the large group, or we can break up into small groups. What would best meet your needs? Okay, so Carla wants the large group, Okay, what do other people want? Large group. Okay, we got all large groups so far. Okay. Okay, we will stay in the large group then. So, oh, I like that, Claudia. Happy with either. Okay. So let me just open the door then to your questions. And if you want to go back and if you have an example, difficult conversation that you want to kind of workshop and think about one of these steps and apply it, we can certainly do that. Oh, no worries, Alessandra. Thank you for coming. So comments, questions, anything not clear? I've got some comments for you, or questions rather. Which of the steps do you think will be the easiest for you to practice? So that one, you think, oh, I do that naturally, or that's not too hard. That sounds easy to do. What do you think? So is avoiding the traps easy? Are those self-awareness skills easy? The face. Oh, thanks, Alessandra. The traps. Okay, the traps are easy. So recognizing that oh, I'm in a trap and my claws are coming out. Okay. So self-awareness. Nice, Ranjita. Okay. Okay. And which ones or one? Okay, so lots of self-awareness. Okay. So which ones do you think may be a bit more challenging to do? Like, oh, okay, that's gonna take some practice. The traps. Okay. Okay. I like how someone's strength is another one's. Oh, I'm gonna have to work on that. The face is gonna be harder, avoiding the traps. Okay. Um, that's so great. Thank you, Carla. I appreciate that. Georgia, I think that when we're comfortable with a conflict, we need to make time to reflect and not jump into it. Making time sometimes is challenging. Right. Yeah. Or trying to fit everything. Okay, Georgia, I know this conflict's really important. We got to get to it. Okay, we got 5 minutes to talk about it. Right? Yeah. So giving things time. Okay. Oh, so for a number of folks, it's the face be challenging. Shirley's saying, I don't think that any are really easy. Face is the one that takes practice for me. Okay. So for the ones that you think you'll need some extra practice, maybe put a funny face on a sticky note and put that on your computer to remind you to practice. Also for Carla is face. Alba says the traps are to be avoided, self-awareness, and then checking facts, avoiding emotions. Yeah, and I'm not sure we can avoid the emotions. We are very emotional beings, but we can certainly be very self-aware of how we're dealing with emotions. And there's something very powerful about saying, Shirley, I appreciate that we're in the middle of this conversation. I don't want you to think that this isn't important to me. And I'm finding myself getting really stressed and a bit angry. And I don't want to say anything that I'm going to regret. Do you mind if we take a break, for a few minutes? I just really want to think through this clear, feeling comfortable and safe in our conversation. So acknowledging when we're getting triggered, acknowledging when those emotions are maybe getting out of hand a bit. Claudia's saying mapping perspectives, opening my mind about alternative options. Yeah, I love that one because it really, you're exactly right. It really opens up, right? In conflict, we can tend to get very narrow focus, and it just really opens up some possibilities. Sarah's saying taking the time to map perspectives, goals, and outcomes. I think that would take me some time to do, right? And as you do that, probably those emotions are gonna settle some. Lovely. Okay. Anything else before we continue? You're doing great. I'm so impressed that you signed up for difficult conversations. It's difficult in the name of the workshop. It's so just real knowledge and think about what's happened stage, right? I think different place. Oops. Oh, sorry, folks. Okay, and feel free, you can take a screen that we've covered. Yes, yeah, it is an important topic, and it's one that's easy to ignore, right? I just want to avoid it. I avoid it. Right? So kudos to being brave, being morally brave. Also, I find you're on the other side of the difficult topic. I feel like, oh, I'm gonna be so good when the other side of that. Okay. And we're, you know, avoiding some difference, adding to anxieties. Really helped me. I'm so glad. Yeah. Right. Oh, we want to have this conversation. It's not our due. Somebody can really say always when we're